Caitlin Clark's name doesn't come up in the contract talks, but her presence is felt everywhere. The league's rising ratings, media momentum, and strategic confidence all trace back to rookie sensations like Clark and Paige Buchers, whose massive followings have shifted the economic center of gravity. That's the unspoken context behind the league's decision to send qualifying offers. If the union won't yield, they can field a season around newcomers without losing viewers.
If you're here for the real story and not the filtered version, subscribe. And if you're sticking around for the next meltdown, you better definitely subscribe.
Veteran stars like BREANNA STEWART, who once carried the league's identity, now find themselves fighting a battle where their visibility is no longer their most powerful weapon. Stewart's leak frustration may sound unhinged to some, but it reflects a larger fear that this labor standoff is really a test of relevance. As rookies dominate social metrics and highlight reels, the league's gamble becomes clearer. Use financial carrots to isolate players, undermine solidarity, and sideline protest narratives with a season that sells anyway. The union's counter-strategy relies on legacy players standing firm, but the shifting power dynamic threatens to erase the very leverage they're trying to wield. In this moment, every player must choose between principle and paycheck, knowing that the first defection won't just change the negotiation, it could reset the league's balance of power for good. When the audio leaked, it wasn't just gossip, it was fuel on a fire that was already raging between the WNBA and its players' union. BREANNA STEWART, one of the most visible leaders of the movement, wasn't holding back. She called out what she saw as hypocrisy from the league. In her words, the league was dangling huge raises in front of players while refusing to address what she described as deeper structural and cultural issues. She accused them of trying to buy silence. Stewart wasn't speaking in vague terms. Her frustrations boiled over as she described the offer as a trap, warning players not to take the bait. She said the league was trying to fracture the union by using money as leverage, knowing full well that many players were financially vulnerable and might see the massive salary increases as life-changing. The term fraud came up more than once, and while she didn't name Caitlin Clark directly in the recording, the implications were loud enough to be heard through the static. Caitlin Clark became the unintentional lightning rod in this feud. Her rookie contract, her popularity, and her sudden rise made her a symbol of the league's new direction, and that wasn't sitting well with some veterans. While she's publicly stayed quiet on most of the labor disputes, her name keeps getting dragged into the conversation. The narrative is forming with or without her participation. Behind the scenes, Clark has reportedly been advised to steer clear of the union drama. The tension between league leadership and the union had already created a divide, and Clark, freshly minted as a media darling, was at risk of becoming the face of management's leverage without even trying. Some players felt that the league was exploiting her popularity as a way to undercut the union's message. At her latest press conference, Caitlin Clark was pressed about the audio leak and the growing drama. She paused for a long moment before giving a carefully worded answer. "I respect all the players who came before me," she said. "I think we all want what's best for the league." It was neutral, almost too neutral. Reporters noted the tension in the room. She didn't address Stewart directly. She didn't bring up the CBA either. But her refusal to take a firm stance was noticeable, especially to veteran players watching from afar. To them, silence wasn't neutrality, it was compliance. The league's top rookie was now caught in the middle of a high-stakes labor battle, and neutrality wasn't going to save her from the blowback. In a separate interview, Clark admitted that the salary numbers being floated were hard to ignore. She didn't say she was going to take the offer, but she also didn't say she wouldn't. That was all it took. The union's group chats lit up. Screenshots of her quote started circulating. The speculation was immediate. Was Caitlin Clark about to break ranks? Veteran players have been clear. They believe accepting these qualifying offers would weaken the union's leverage. Clark's popularity meant that any move she made would carry disproportionate weight. And with so many rookies on the fence, her decision could trigger a chain reaction that would collapse the union's strategy entirely. The timing of the league's offer wasn't random. They knew the season was around the corner. They knew the public's attention was fixed on the influx of new talent. And they knew that most fans weren't tuning in for behind-the-scenes labor talks. They were watching for highlights, buzzer beaters, and viral moments. And the league was watching too. From their perspective, the rookies were the main attraction. Viewership numbers confirmed it. So did ticket sales. And if push came to shove, the league believed they could ride this momentum even without the veterans. Replacement players? Not ideal, but not a death sentence either. League Commissioner Kathy Engelbert has stayed diplomatic in public, but her recent comments gave away more than she probably intended. In a statement, she emphasized the league's long-term vision and commitment to growth. She praised the players while also pointing out that the WNBA had never turned a profit. What she didn't say was just as important. Engelbert avoided commenting directly on the protests or the union's messaging around social reform. Instead, she pivoted to the league's financial model and the need for sustainability. It was a subtle reminder. Passion doesn't pay the bills, and growth means making tough calls. Adam Silver, who oversees the NBA and plays a major role in WNBA operations, echoed Engelbert's points. He mentioned the NBA's ongoing support for the WNBA, but made it clear that this support wasn't infinite. There's a real opportunity here, he said, but we need alignment. That word, alignment, felt like a direct jab at the union's protests. Silver framed the league's salary offer as a generous step forward. He pointed to the potential for massive growth and argued that the financials needed to be respected if the league wanted to survive. It was a warning wrapped in optimism. BREANNA STEWART wasn't buying it. In another leaked message, she questioned why the league was suddenly so generous. If they can afford this now, why couldn't they before, she asked. She accused the league of trying to appear progressive without actually changing its power structure. According to her, the money was a distraction, a shiny object meant to derail the push for deeper reform. She also warned that the league's move to isolate players with individual offers was a deliberate attack on union strength. They want us divided, she said. They want to see who breaks first. Stewart didn't name names, but her message was clear. Hold the line, or the union falls. Meanwhile, the public narrative kept shifting. Online discourse turned toxic. Some fans blamed Stewart for stirring the pot. Others accused Clark of being naive or complicit. The tension wasn't just internal anymore. It was spilling over into the fan base, splitting viewers into factions. Clark, who had been brought in as the league's next superstar, was now being treated like a symbol of the system itself. And while she hadn't asked for it, the role was now hers to carry. Silence was no longer protection, it was provocation. In a follow-up interview, Clark looked visibly uncomfortable when asked about the pressure. She didn't dodge the question. "I'm here to play basketball," she said. "But I also know that what's happening off the court matters too." It was the most direct acknowledgement she'd made so far. Still, the vagueness lingered. That vagueness might not be enough to satisfy either side. For the league, she remains a valuable asset. Marketable, successful, and silent on the issues they want to keep quiet. For the union, her hesitation reads as weakness. And for the veterans watching closely, it's a test of loyalty they don't think she's passing. As the season looms closer, the tension on the court is almost as thick as it is off of it. Practices continue, games are scheduled, and media days move forward, but every moment feels like a countdown. Everyone knows what's at stake. Behind the polished highlight reels and glowing press tours, there's a silent battle brewing just outside the frame. Players who've been vocal about union solidarity are keeping their distance from those rumored to be considering the league's offers. There are no visible blow-ups yet, but the energy has shifted. What used to be a league pushing for unity now feels like it's splintering by the day. The game might be the same, but the subtext is louder than any whistle. Kathy Engelbert hasn't backed off her stance. In her latest address, she doubled down on the league's need for a sustainable business model. She didn't deny the pressure the union is under, but she framed the league's offers as a gesture of faith. According to her, it's not an attack, it's a solution. But her messaging hasn't landed cleanly. Critics have pointed out the irony in asking for unity while sending individual offers designed to isolate players. Engelbert's refusal to engage with the protests directly has only fueled more backlash. By avoiding the word solidarity, she's made it clear where the league stands. Adam Silver took it a step further. In a press sit-down, he called the current moment a pivotal opportunity for the WNBA to scale. His emphasis was on infrastructure, on long-term revenue sharing, and, again, on alignment. He reiterated the fact that the league is still operating at a loss, propped up by the NBA's financial safety net. Silver wasn't subtle about the risks. If the numbers don't start to make sense, he said, it's going to be harder and harder to justify the investment. That was less a threat than it was a public accounting of the scoreboard. The league was giving the players what they asked for, more money, but not on the union's terms. For Caitlin Clark, the pressure is building. What started as an incredible rookie year has turned into a crash course in league politics. She's still showing up, still smiling in media appearances, but her body language says more than her press statements. She knows her next move could set off a chain reaction, even if fans can feel it. Comments on her socials have become a battleground. Half are urging her to take the money and focus on her career. The other half are calling her out for not standing with the union. Clark, who never asked to be the league's moral compass, now finds herself at the center of an identity crisis for the WNBA. Meanwhile, BREANNA STEWART has become the de facto voice of resistance. She's not just pushing back against the league. She's calling out players too. In private union meetings, she's reportedly warned that any player who breaks rank is endangering everyone else's future. It's a hardline stance that's making waves inside the locker rooms. Stewart's messaging hasn't softened. She insists this is about more than money. It's about setting a precedent. If players start accepting offers under the current CBA, then the league can spin that as approval. That's the nightmare scenario for the union. And Stewart knows that once the dam breaks, there's no repairing the flood. In a recent sit-down with a national sports outlet, Clark was asked, again, about the contract offers. This time, she looked visibly annoyed. It's not just about me, she said. It's about all of us trying to figure out what's right. That quote was pulled, reposted, and dissected within hours. Some took it as a sign that Clark was leaning toward the union. Others saw it as another non-answer. The truth is, Clark has been trying to navigate a storm that started long before she joined the league. And every word she says now is being measured for signs of loyalty or betrayal. At a preseason media event, Clark faced a question that's been looming for weeks. Would she sign the offer? She didn't dodge. Not right now, she said. That was the headline. But buried in the rest of her answer was a deeper message. She wanted more information. She wanted more time. She wasn't closing the door. For the league, it was a pause. For the union, it was a warning shot. If Clark was even considering the offer, others might already be leaning toward yes. And if one high-profile name signs, the pressure on everyone else triples overnight. Clark left that presser looking drained. Her coaches tried to steer questions back toward basketball. Her teammates avoided the cameras. Everyone could see it. She wasn't just dealing with a sports story anymore. She was at the center of a labor war, and she wasn't winning. The toll is starting to show. Clark is still performing, but she's no longer insulated. Every time her name trends, it's less about her game and more about what she might do next. Her rise came fast. Now the spotlight feels more like a cage. BREANNA STEWART, on the other hand, isn't backing down. She's organizing, posting, speaking, and pushing. The union isn't unified in tone, but Stewart is acting like it is. She's reportedly been working the phones nonstop, calling players, reminding them what's at stake, and warning them what a fractured union could lead to. Her argument is simple. Short-term money won't fix a broken system. The union's entire leverage rests on their ability to present a united front. Once that front cracks, the league gains total control over how negotiations play out going forward. And Stewart knows that control, once given, won't be handed back. In her latest interview, Clark finally admitted the weight of it all. There's no right answer, she said, but I want to do the right thing. That line stuck. Fans debated what she meant. Was she inching closer to siding with the union? Was she still undecided? Was she trying to send a signal? What's clear is this: the pressure isn't letting up. The league's offers are still on the table. The union's protests are still gaining attention. And Clark remains caught in the middle, balancing fame, expectation, and a paycheck that could change her life or someone else's future. The games are still being played, but the league doesn't feel united. Every pass, every timeout, every buzzer feels like it's happening under a microscope. Broadcasters avoid the topic, but fans can see it plain as day. Something is broken. The league wanted to harness this season's momentum. Instead, it's spinning off course with players caught between contracts and conscience. The real scoreboard isn't showing up in the box scores. It's the silence in the handshake lines, the side eyes during shoot-arounds. The players know what's on the line. And while they keep showing up for games, many are starting to wonder what exactly they're playing for. Clark hasn't cracked publicly, but the pressure's morphing. Her face is on every banner, but her voice is being watched more closely than her stats. It's clear she never expected her rookie season to be defined by labor politics. She just wanted to play. But the league doesn't work like that anymore. When fans chant her name, it's no longer just praise, it's a signal. To some, she represents the future. To others, she's a pawn. That's what happens when your paycheck becomes a political statement. Whether she signs or not, she's going to take hits. And everyone knows it. Stewart has stopped mincing words. Her latest media comments were direct. This is about power. Don't get distracted. She's framed the offers as nothing more than leverage wrapped in dollar signs. To her, every player who holds out is holding the line. Every player who signs is signing away more than just a contract. Internally, it's gotten tense. Some players have gone quiet. Others are pushing back, wondering how long they can afford to wait. Stewart has doubled down. She told union members that if even one player flips, the league will spin it as consensus. And then it's over. That's the kind of pressure being handed out, peer-to-peer, day by day. Clark's latest sit-down showed a different side of her. Less polished, more raw. I just want everyone to be respected, she said. This league matters. We all matter. It was emotional, vulnerable. It wasn't the hard stance some union leaders hoped for, but it was human. And maybe that's the problem. There's no space for uncertainty right now. The stakes are too high. Every word she speaks gets dissected for signals. Is she going to take the deal? Is she staying with the union? Every option feels like a trap. No matter what she does next, someone's going to call a betrayal. Kathy Engelbert, for her part, is standing by the league's decision. She's emphasized transparency, growth, and opportunity. We're creating options, she said. Players have the right to choose. That language sounds empowering until you consider the context. To the union, those options are a wedge. They argue that Engelbert is creating pressure points, not choices. And when those pressure points hit the players with the least financial cushion, it's not a fair fight. Engelbert says it's business. Stewart says it's manipulation. Clark? She's stuck between the two. The latest press conference brought the question back to the surface. Reporters asked again, would she be signing? This time, Clark didn't pause. I haven't decided, she said. It was short, but it was honest. And it made the room go silent. Because not deciding means she's still considering. And that might be enough to tip the balance. Other rookies are watching her. So are agents. If Caitlin Clark, rookie of the moment, ratings machine, says yes, it gives cover for others to do the same. That's what the league is counting on. One big domino. Adam Silver, when asked about the potential fallout, kept things clinical. We're not pressuring anyone, he said. We're offering contracts. Technically true, but nobody's buying the innocence. The timing, the numbers, the optics, it's all strategic. Silver didn't offer sympathy. He offered math. If rookies take the deals and the veterans sit out, the league doesn't collapse. The games still happen. The ratings stay strong. The narrative shifts. And the union? It starts to look like a fringe group yelling from the sidelines. That's the quiet threat beneath his calm delivery. Clark walked off that press stage like someone carrying a weight no rookie should be carrying. Her teammates huddled around her. No words, just quiet support. They know what she's up against. She's being turned into a decision point. And that kind of pressure is hard to ignore, even when you're trying to stay neutral. It's not just her career on the line. It's the direction of the entire league. Her decision could reshape the WNBA's power dynamics for years. And she knows it. That's the worst part. This isn't a moment she asked for. But it's hers now, whether she wants it or not. In a late-night interview clip that surfaced from a podcast taping, Clark seemed more reflective. You grow up thinking about playing at the highest level. You don't really think about all this other stuff. But it matters. It's heavy. Her voice cracked on that last word. It was a rare window into how much this is affecting her. Not the press-friendly smile. Not the perfectly measured quote. Just a young player, navigating the intersection of sports and labor politics, trying not to drown in the noise. And it hit fans hard. Because for all the drama, this is still a 22-year-old trying to survive her first season. Stewart, watching this unfold, hasn't softened her tone. If anything, she's getting louder. This is what the league wants, to make us feel like we have to choose between our careers and each other. She's right. That's the strategy. Divide and conquer. Tempt the hungry. Isolate the vocal. She's made it clear that if anyone signs, the union's leverage takes a hit. And once that hit lands, there's no going back. Stewart's not just fighting for this contract. She's fighting to prove that collective power still means something in a league where the dollars are finally starting to flow. She's daring players to think beyond themselves. The question is, will they? It's a standoff now. A league dangling riches. A union trying to keep control. A rookie caught in the middle. And a season creeping closer with no clear resolution in sight. The question isn't just who will blink first. It's what that blink will cost. If you're as deep in this mess as we are, hit that like button, drop your thoughts in the comments, and make sure you're subscribed. Because this story isn't over. And when the first deal gets signed, you're going to be here to watch it all unfold.